Wisconsin agriculture, we've got a lot of different looks as far as leadership is concerned. We've got young, energetic, we've got seasoned and wise, male, and then we've got females that are taking leadership roles. And here at Lambeau Field, prelude to Dairy Strong 2025, where we're celebrating 25 years of the Dairy Business Association, I want to visit with the first and, to date, the only female president of the Dairy Business Association. That's Amy Penterman from Western Wisconsin. Tell me first, before we get into some of the behind-the-scenes details of being the first female president, tell me a little bit about your farming operation when you first got engaged with the idea of Dairy Business Association.
So we farm in Clark County, Thorpe, Wisconsin, West Central Wisconsin, my husband and I. We milk 1,000 cows, and I'm also a crop insurance agent. So I always wanted to figure out a way where I can give back and how can I make more of a difference that's going to affect not only our farm, but farmers of our state. Because let's face it, farmers have a hard time getting off the farm. Yeah. I have the opportunity where I can do that and speak up for farmers, and that's kind of what drove me to become a member of DBA and then run for a board position for DBA.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense because, like you said, trying to get them to be persuaded to leave the farm is a challenge. So give me a little sense on the atmosphere, be it the board, be it the organization, when you were kind of coming up the ranks, Amy.
Very open. I was kind of new to being on the boards themselves. I'd never really served on a major board, and everybody has been so warm, so welcoming, helping me, teaching me, guiding me. There's been so many great people that have been part of this organization that drove me to want to be better because they were experts in their fields, experts on their farms, and it just made it so exciting.
You know, that's an element that we haven't talked a lot about, the peer-to-peer education. You know, one of our guests said, you know, the hallway conversations. You're not talking about board business, you're talking about the crop this year or something that's something that non-farm people don't understand. Tell me a little bit about the catalyst conversations that would go on besides board business.
You know, you talk, like you just said, how's the weather in your part of the state? What are you guys fighting? Yeah. What are you fighting? Mud? Are you fighting drought? What are you seeing? But not only that, any issues that you have on the farm, you can bounce ideas off of other farmers, and they are so willing to share their successes, their failures, what worked, what didn't work. Hey, I'll give you a number to this guy. Here, call this guy. And it is amazing that peer-to-peer education that you get has just opened up so many doors and just made farmers so much more successful.
Now, I'm an old broad, but I got to ask you, because one of the questions I always get, well, didn't you feel intimidated, or didn't you feel like you weren't one of the pack? Amy, I've always felt like I was part of this pack. Did you ever feel any of that kind of angst when you were around the DBA board?
I never felt that way, and I think it started with, this is my 27th year in crop insurance, and being a young female in crop insurance and working with farmers, you overcome that, and I just realized everybody's a person, and I'm one that wants to get to know you personally, maybe not business side, so once they get to know me and knows my crazy self, then it just makes it all just natural, and we developed so many friendships too.
Now let's talk a little bit about some of the business that did have to be taken care of as a board member, and then I remember more than once we were dialing you up for interviews about specific issues. What do you remember from your tenure as president as the issues that had to be addressed? Maybe they were resolved, or maybe they're still being addressed.
You know, one of the first major hurdles that I had, it was COVID. So how do we do business? Incoming president, well, how are we going to do business differently, virtually? How are we going to get in touch with lawmakers? And it was pretty neat to see how we were able to put together virtual meetings, have virtual dialogue with our lawmakers, and just kind of talk about the issues at hand. And a lot of it did revolve around COVID and what's the state of dairy in our state, which then turned around to be a positive because lawmakers in our state did see how important dairy was and how we had to stay open for business and we had to keep working.
Yeah, and that still resonates today. I mean, when you think about lasting conversation, that's definitely something. Amy Penterman along with us from Thorpe. So now, how do you carry it forward? You're still here. It's not like once the responsibilities were done, Amy said, I'm tired of traveling, I'm staying home. Why do you keep coming back? Now, granted, this atmosphere is some of the answer.
You know, it's for me, it's the future of dairy in our state. And it's the young kids. I've got young kids at home. It's the young kids that might not grow up on a farm. It's the kids in our high school. I'm part of our FFA alumni in our school. It's for our future and the future of our state that drives me. And somebody has to have a voice at the Capitol. And if I can be that voice, I will do everything in my power to make sure that the voice of milk and the dairy farmers' voices are heard.
I think that about sums it up. 25 years or 2 years, the quest for that kind of leadership and those kinds of conversation continues. Amy Penterman, past president of the Dairy Business Association Board, dairy farmer from Thorpe, along with us as we celebrate 25 years of the Dairy Business Association here at Lambeau Field. I'm Pam Yonke.